Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. CQ, K3FXS.
Hey, Forrester, we got you.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mhm.
Oh my God, look at Chet on the beach.
He's not worried about the virus.
Now he's styling over there. A little palm tree, a little margarita action.
Yeah, that's a good one. Corona, actually. Get a Corona. Get it?
We all know that heat kills the virus, so he's safe.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why Florida's having a problem right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It's Arizona, too, right?
The Florida Heat's just doing a job on it, isn't it?
Yeah, Texas and the Texas heat, by the way.
I don't know. Based on my backyard thermometer that went to 97 today, I think we're okay too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah, on my thing there, it shows a little cloud like with a little plus thing in it that's flashing, so it must be.
That means you're recording.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir.
So you're good.
So we got probably our typical regulars here today. Hey, Mike, are you there, Mr. Field Coordinator or Field Director, Program Director?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Can you
Roger.
hear
Okay,
radio?
good. Are you going to project slides? You want me to project slides?
Yeah, I can put them up
Okay.
as long as it allows me to.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we get started? It's 7:26. Right. Should I get the gavel out here and virtually knock on a table here? Welcome to the July meeting of First State Amateur Relay Club, Radio Club. I'm sorry. I guess we'll start with an announcements tonight. Mike is gonna provide a presentation on an after action review on our field day exercise last month. It'll be very interesting because this is probably how we're gonna operate next year as a group. Hopefully, when we talk a little bit about this, we definitely want more participants next year, but we'll hold off that discussion for later. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to go through introductions because I think everybody's name and call sign is all up on the, yes, they are, I'm looking, and I'll take note of that from Mike. Okay, I can write that all down. We're all good there. So with that, I guess we could start with a treasurer's report.
Yes, let's start.
Okay, can somebody make a motion to accept?
So Dave, is there a that $200? What did he do for us?
Well, I guess Jerry could explain that better than I. He provides a lot of support when the QSO party logs are being processed.
Okay, I got you.
Apparently,
I
he'll
remember-
go the extra mile to make sure that we can process all the logs and get them scored correctly.
I think it was more than the extra mile. I think it was the extra marathon miles that he puts in to help us fix those logs up. We all kind of nodded when he went through the work when Jerry talked about the work that he had done, we all kind of nodded and went, holy crap, look at all that.
So it's hard to believe he did it. Yeah.
I
Good
think
guy.
also, Dave, part of the last month, we also contribute to Bill Blatz's dues because we used his home for field day last month. So that was a payout there too.
That's right. That's for 2021.
Correct.
Yep.
So that's why we're a little down, a little short on cash this month.
Well, that doesn't show up.
Yeah, true, Roger.
There's no cash flow in or
Right,
out.
nothing coming in, nothing going out. Right.
Yep.
Yep.
But it's
So
on.
again, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we accept the treasury report, Dred.
I got a second here?
Okay.
Got a second.
Second.
Okay. Let me get my virtual gavel. Good. Let's move on. This is very strange doing this, I got to tell you. Facilitating a meeting this way. All right. I guess we'll move on to old business. I'm looking at the treasurer's report from last month, which is good that he posted it up. Obviously, one of the things that was brought up was meeting locations. I guess we're going to still table that until we start seeing some light at the end of the tunnel regarding social distancing issues. Correct. I don't think there's much to talk about right there at this moment, but let's hopefully soon enough we'll be back in a room together and having these meetings. And check off the side. This is all, I still have the television.
Okay.
So, okay. So I want to make sure, and I'm willing to help out, put it up or whatever, because, whenever, if that makes sense.
I've already contacted the trustees and they're happy to accept it. The church is actually opening for regular Sunday services the first Sunday in August. So it's kind of opening, but really not going to be doing a whole lot except for Sunday church services.
Yeah, so just reach out to me when
Okay.
the time's right.
I got the mount.
He's got them out, so
Okay.
I have the tea. It's sitting in my dining room right now. So
Okay.
that's
Thank
okay.
you for storing it.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Hey,
Actually,
Alan,
we could move it to the church if it gets in the way, and then when they open up, then we can mount it. But
It's up to you. Just let me know. I'll figure it out. I'll get
Okay.
a truck.
hey, Alan, I live around the corner from the church. You want to give me a call when you go to mount it? I'm real good at following directions.
No, you need muscles. What we need, right?
Well, I can lift the
can,
TV and hold it in place. So, but I'm close to you, so whenever you want to do it, I can zap over there pretty quickly.
Okay, appreciate it.
I'm going to do that as well. I live like 2 minutes away, just right up
Yeah.
the street, so I can help out as well.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, this is probably not business for the club right now, but the point is, I just something. It really is the club. I'm thinking what I'm thinking about is this is really the club's donation, even though I'm donating it. So okay. Any other old business that you guys? I'm looking at. We had an application from last month. We took care of that. We took care of bills, dues, and then we talked about field day last month. Was there anything else that we talked about last month that is old business? All right, if nothing, let's move on to new business. So anybody have new business they want to bring up?
Yeah, I just like to talk briefly about the Wednesday night net, if you don't
Yes, sir.
mind.
Mhm.
It has been reasonably successful. Last night was weird. We had the thunderstorms blowing through, and things were weird. But the general consensus is everybody likes the Delaware City repeater. We get more people can check in on that one. There's some weird stuff occasionally going on for the stations in my neighborhood. That'd be like myself, John, D. Giovanni, Frank, Rob Zalewski up there in Chad's Ford. That sometimes we have a little bit of difficulty hitting it. Although Tuesday evening, when we had the CARES net, the CARES, which used to be on the 73 repeater, we have also moved that down to the 448 to 825. And Tuesday night, it was just phenomenal. It was like everybody was sitting right here in the office with me. But then again, last night with the storms and everything, it was just, we only had about 6 guys, and I kind of wrapped it up pretty quick. But I would like to see if we can get club members calling in on it. We get maybe, I think about, by my count, maybe about 4 to 5 club members max. A lot of it is other people do the CARES net come in, and some unaffiliated people, which is great. But I'm just kind of trying to hype that up. It's get more people engaged with that. That's and I was talking with the other Mike the other day. He checked in actually. I guess it was like last previous session. And while I enjoy being net control, I have a lot of fun with it. I still good opportunity to share the wealth there. So if anybody's good opportunity, it's also good practice and good training. So that's all I just wanted to bring up with that. But I do want to encourage some more club participation. Thanks.
Roger.
Hey, Dave, I tried to get in last night but because of the thunderstorm. I wasn't able to hit it. I live in Green Acres and I can normally hit that pretty easily with the little arrow antenna I've got up on the roof. But for some reason, like I heard CARES on Tuesday, but last night you guys couldn't hear me at all. So I'm not sure if it had to do with the propagation that was going on or if I've got a problem over here.
Oh, no, no. Almost assuredly, it was just propagation because, Tuesday night, I mean, everybody was like loud and clear. It was phenomenal. And then just, I think with the storms and everything else, it was just, I couldn't hear anybody. Like I said, I was having difficulty, hearing people checking in. And I kind of wrapped it up after about 5 or 6 guys. I just couldn't make it go over. So definitely a propagation and nothing to do with your equipment or Foster.
I think VHF yesterday, I actually had the weather, I was listening to some of the weather stations up at the 160 megahertz in that range there, and they were horrible yesterday to hit. Usually you hit 4 or 5 of them, out of the 6 or 7 channels that are there. And last night I was only able to get 1 or 2 at the best. So propagation today, I was downstairs in the basement tinkering, and it was beautiful today. So yeah, propagation was pretty bad last night. It was a lot. I guess the atmosphere was charged up. So.
I'll send a link that I look at, and it basically shows you the ducting or E-skip. And if you look at it, so on Tuesday, there was a big tropo duct down the East Coast. And so like I noticed repeaters that I could hear were twice as strong as they are normally. I don't know about last night because it was just raining and thundering and lightning and stuff, but yeah, I'll send a link out to the email thing, and it's kind of a handy thing to have. You pop it up and see what's going on, and it's based on 2 meters. So if you see a lot of openings on 2 meters along the coast, that means the 6 meters is open too. So
yeah,
well, that'll be very, very helpful. I was almost thinking about blasting out an email right before the net, telling everybody 30 minutes or something, and I think the last Thunder Boomer was maybe about 10 minutes or so, before the start of the net. And I said, well, I got an inside antenna for VHF, UHF. It's in the attic. So I said, well, I'll give it a go. But probably a lot of guys just, for safety reasons, didn't even want to try it last night. But yeah, that visuals get that link. That was like it'll be real helpful.
So Dave, on the subject on this net. Outside of trying to get folks to rehearse and get online, I think, we really have to take a hard look. I know from your perspective now being the director or the coordinator for the state now, right? There should be we have enough talent in this group here to kind of look at kind of like not rehauling the actual net, repeaters, but to kind of rethink the way we want to set those repeaters up, because it is very interesting that we still rely on this hub and spoke concept with some connections between the hubs, right? But we're using the same bands to connect the hubs with, you know what I mean? And then we have this thing called DMR showing up, right? And the scary thing about DMR is that in an emergency, you're not going to have DMR, right? So there's got to be some kind of a thought behind about, rethinking some of this. I mean, I talked to Frank, a couple emails back and forth with him, and, maybe, the idea of using 23 centimeters to connect up between the repeater sites, something, a higher bandwidth that's point to point. That would help with some of this. It could help with some of this connectivity across the state, and you need to have multiple channels. Dave, that's something we can talk about. That's a whole subject we go offline on. We can have, but you got talent here. If we ever want to think about trying to come up with a design plan, a systems engineering plan about how we could rethink the state's how we put a backbone in the state for the repeaters.
So I've long wanted to use the mesh network to do that.
Yes, mesh.
But it's just a question of finding appropriate line of sight or near line of sight or something, connectivity for that.
Right. And Paul, you're on on that subject. I think about this a second. These are my thoughts, and I don't know about you guys, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, because I live in a whole restricted community, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky that I got my vertical sitting in my backyard, because you know why? I painted it, I hit it, right? So nobody's really complaining about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I put an antenna on my roof that connected up to the mesh and made it part of a mesh net backbone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's used for emergency purposes, it might give me validity to say I can put that antenna up there, or go away, because this is all about emergency management,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can, when you heard Bill was trying to get that bill passed through the state Senate, and these are the kinds of things that actually gives us validity of putting antennas up.
Sure. And, I can help you figure out how you can do that. We should talk offline, but
Right.
I've got various techniques for modeling the terrain and all that.
Roger. So these are thoughts, Dave, when you look at your cause that you're owning now, you're managing, the intent is persistency of having a network that's reliable, right? Ken and I will tell you, if we work for the Army, network is important. You don't have network connectivity, you don't have information. Without information, you're blind, right? When you're fighting wars, etc. It's analogous. It's just maybe not as, it's not conflict, but the idea is it's there to help support under crisis.
Yeah. So we had a plan. So by the way, we do have, mesh connectivity now between the two DRA repeater sites. So that would be the first thing that we could get online, and also the Porter filter station 955 machine. Those are all at mesh sites now.
I'd love to put an antenna up and have be a mesh node that they can connect up into.
Yeah,
my area
and we could do that too. We also, a few years back, Dave and I did a test of at the Newcastle County EOC,
right,
and showed that we could get with very, very minimal equipment, we could get a link into the mesh node that I have at Christiana Hospital, and we were able to get very good performance. But then we were never able to get past the administrative hurdle there. And I'd love to try that again. Obviously, right this instant, it's not going to work. But
the non-geeks,
if you have an opportunity to try to restart that, I think that's a good place to go. We also have plans in place for how we could connect down to the Middletown Emergency Department of Christiana, and there's other things in view. I mean, if something on Fair Hill, if there's a tower there, we could get access to. There's a lot of places, and K3TXO has offered the use of his tower, which is just south of the canal, and also in view of both the Christiana and the Windy Hills sites. So there's there's a lot of places we can go as soon as we're all allowed to leave our houses again. But we just need to start executing on a plan there.
Roger. So I only brought this up only because of the brain trust we have in the club, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is something that's done outside the club, I guess, under the Aries Carrots, et cetera. But this is something that I thought about it. Like, if it gives me validity of putting an antenna up, it has validity in doing that. So that somebody says, "Hey, you can't put an antenna." Well, I'm putting up an antenna for the following reason. It's not just a hobby. It's actually serving a purpose.
Yeah. Well, we should talk offline and see whether we can get you what it would take to get you connected. Let's put it that way.
Roger that. I'm all on board. I got 1 gigabit network connectivity, so if you want to backhaul it through a fiber.
Alan?
Yes, sir.
Could a mesh antenna appear to be a TV antenna?
Depends on the band you're operating on.
Okay, no HOA can prevent you from putting a TV antenna on your roof.
Yeah, well, certainly the 900 megahertz ones. Well, they look a lot like TV antennas, except they're cross polarized. Some of the 5 gigahertz ones look a lot like satellite dishes.
Ah, there you go.
And they're not really big apertures on those things too, right?
Sorry?
They're not big apertures, the dishes.
No, they're pizza sized.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too is, if I'm right, is if I had a connection into the mesh, I could essentially connect up my UHF VHF antenna and provide that as a connect into a backbone process. Is that? I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
Not following you there.
We'll take this one offline. I
Okay.
really didn't want to bring this one all. I didn't want to go this far into this. I just wanted to have a dialogue and see what we thought. So, all right, I'll take this one offline. Are there any other new business?
I guess new business would be about the email I sent you. I talked to Paul about putting something at the packet site so they could cycle the power.
Roger that.
And he indicated what he wanted. That was in the email. I think it's $99 in free shipping or something.
That was you, Paul, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, do we vote on that? What's the limit? Was it $50 limit?
Like $50. So we have to vote. So I make a motion that we allow Paul to purchase for him the web electrical switch, so they can cycle the equipment there without having to, as Paul would say, go poke it with a stick. So I think it's $99 free shipping, and I think it would really help. You know, if they recycle it and it doesn't work, then Frank's gonna have to wander over there and give it a poke. But you know, since we're all kind of locked down, and it'd be easier just to give that a try, and I think it's worth the expense. So I make a motion that we purchase that for Paul, or reimburse him for the cost, one of the two.
Who owns that equipment?
Second motion? Dennis. Okay.
No, who owns that equipment? That packet station or whatever.
It's actually Frank's. I mean, it's at the eBright repeater site, but Frank actually provided the hardware.
Yeah, but who's
In
handling?
fact, he's provided most of the hardware at the repeater site.
Well, you know, like, okay, so you have the Delaware Repeater Association. What group is sponsoring that? Or is there a group?
I don't think there is one.
All right.
Only Frank would be
Gets
willing to.
permission to use the site.
I guess Bill W3.
Well, I'm the secretary to DRA, so I can, yeah, if you want to shoot me an email with a proposal, then I can help make that happen.
Mhm.
But I still think we should purchase the $100 switch, because it has multiple times in the last 2 or 3 months we had to go in there and poke at it. 'Cause I use that site for my WinLink.
And we can't fabricate one.
It's an Ethernet switch, Mike, and you're talking $100. By the time you buy the parts and put it together, it'll probably cost about the same.
And
I
besides,
think
by
it would
buying
cost
that,
more.
you guarantee that Murphy will never take that site down again.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll probably never end up using it.
FYI, I have been putting switches, Ethernet attached power switches at all the newer mesh sites. So I can power cycle the mesh equipment, the whole site, and it also automatically does it, right? You can set it so that it will ping some set of external resources, and if it doesn't hear from them, then it'll try to power cycle the site automatically. And that's actually, it's been very useful. We've been able to recover the mesh stuff at the Windy Hills Tower that way. And we haven't had to do it elsewhere, but we have the capability at all the newer sites. So I think it's a good idea. We have something up on the tower for that at eBright, but we don't have anything for this packet station because it's separate. It's down in the blockhouse and it's powered separately and all that. So
Yeah, Mike, it's more than just a repeater. It actually is a packet site. So all that WinLink in this corner of the state actually uses that
Yep.
site to get into WinLink.
Time for a vote.
So let's do this again. Motion to purchase the Ethernet power switch for the DRA or the DRA repeater packet site. Can I get a motion here?
We have a
moved.
motion. We just need a second.
Second.
I thought Dennis did it. He said.
I thought so too, but
Yeah, because then that's why I started talking, because I figured if you have a second and then you have a discussion and then you vote, right?
Right. I call for the question.
All in favor?
Hey,
Aye.
aye.
Aye,
aye.
it's a good idea.
Yep.
Okay.
I offer to, when it's decided that it's time to make the purchase, I offer to make the purchase on behalf of the club, and the shipping address will be Paul's address. So Paul will go straight to you. At least I think Amazon will do that.
Yes, they will.
And then I'll just pay myself because I happen to have the checkbook.
okay, are you an Amazon Prime guy?
Yes, I am.
Who's
Okay.
not?
Well, that'll make it. All right, then I will forward the link to you.
I have the link. I went and read over it. Looks very attractive.
Yeah, $100 is not bad.
So Paul, you send me your shipping address. I
Mhm.
should have saved your check, but I cashed your check. And then what I'll do is I will forward the link that I have to you, and you can confirm that it's the right one.
Okay.
So, Paul, this one last question on that packet switch. Is it only what's the maximum baud rate can it run at? Is it only 1200?
Which? Oh, that the existing packet station.
Yeah.
Yeah, the existing packet station is a traditional 1200 baud, AX25 packet.
Okay.
If you want to do something better and stay on 2 meters, then Vara FM is definitely your friend. It's order of magnitude faster.
Well, that's something down the road we should look at. Do a cost benefit analysis on that.
There is a station in Kennett Square.
Yeah, I hit that once in a while. Yeah.
Martin Odom.
Yeah.
And he emailed me a few months back and said he had put up, because I use his Vara HF all the time. And he emailed me a few months back and said he had put up a Vara FM as well. And I tried to connect to it. I didn't have a lot of luck. I'm pretty sure the problem's at my end. I think it has something to do with setting the levels or the deviation or something properly. I don't have a meter, so it's hard to do that. But people who have tried it think it's wonderful. And the lower speed version, it has a low speed and a high speed, just like the packet does. And the low speed version actually works through repeaters. So
what's the frequency of the FM repeater or the FM site in Kennett Square?
what are you asking exactly?
I think it's 145.10.
Our packet site?
No.
Oh, the Vera packet site that you were just talking about up in Kennett Square.
I don't know the number offhand, but I'll look in my email and I'll forward it to you.
I think it's 145.1. I think I'm almost sure of that. I tried to hit.
I don't think that's right.
No?
Let me
I try to hit K3 MOT, and it's interesting for me. I live close to that, and yet I have a hard time hitting his repeater, hitting his packet. I can't get my packet to sync up with him.
Well, his antenna's in the attic.
Well, that explains a lot.
Okay, here it is. Its call sign is KB3PCY-10, and the frequency is 145.565, and it operates in narrow mode.
You're up there, Rich. You're up in that area there, so.
Yeah, I'll see if I can hear it. If he has any height, I should be able to hear him because he's actually higher than me. So.
I'm like Paul. I usually hit his HF site once in a while.
Yeah, I use it all the time actually. Where's the? Oh, here's the chat window thing. Here, this is the.
So I'm gonna move on, guys. Okay, good discussion here. Talking about packets today, packet and VHF. Is there any other new business that we would like to bring up?
Well, this is kind of old new business. We have 2 logs that we haven't been able to score yet, but we've gotten the errors corrected, and now I'm just waiting for Jerry to get back from Canada so he can run the logs through the software. And so I got Tom's back with the corrections, and the other one, the other one, the header was bad. I think I corrected that myself. A couple of them I just scored by hand. Some of them are way too long. Well, some of them are way too long to do that. It would take an hour and a half to do the log. But anyway, so that's the deal with the QSO party. Jerry's off in Canada settling the estate. And
what's the other one? It was Tom, and who was the other one?
Well, it was Tom and the other guy. I don't know him. It's KC3RM or KM3RC or something like that. And actually, the log looks good, but the header, the software kept kicking it out. The header was bad. Okay. And I think the thing is with N1MM, it'll work, but they made changes to the software right before the QSO party this year. And so Tom was using an older version, where Ken used a newer version and his scored fine. So when Jerry gets back, we'll get all that finished up and we'll get the scores posted up.
Because I could get that one working if you want. It's RCM or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can give me scores, if you could run that thing and give me final scores, I'll take a look and see if I can verify it, and if so, then we can get it up a little quicker.
All right, let me look at it.
So Rich, what in the world is your background?
That's my living room wall.
Oh. Okay. Very nice. All right. Any other chat?
Rich, is it K3CRM?
Yes, there you go.
His name is Cliff.
Yeah, he lives in
Surrey Park.
Yeah, I could fix that one. I remember that. I thought I fixed that one and scored it.
We now have to go back and look because I only do it when I have time and motivation, and I'm not aggravated about something else. Which
that one.
Wait, how often does that happen?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm not aggravated all that much, but this whole virus thing is terrible. I mean, I have a building project going on, and you can't find material. I mean, there's no wood, there's no treated wood. I mean, you go to buy things and they haven't made it in 3 months and they don't have it. So I spend a fair amount of time, in fact, hours a week, just online tracking down material and trying to get it here. So it's just, anyway, but usually I take 1 day a week at work. I pay myself and I work on the QSO party. And so I've got to go back and look at some of the stuff that Mike had sent me. And if there's a final score in there, I'll look through the log and confirm it. If so, I'll get the score sheet finished up, get that to Mike, and we'll get it posted up.
Yeah, CRM, I did that one. Yeah, that's him. So I can send it to you again.
Oh, I have it. I saved it in a folder. I'll just have to take time to go through and look at it, and I'll do that. And if I have any questions or problems, I'll drop you an email.
Okay.
Let's get this meeting to a conclusion here because we still have a presentation to get to. So any other new business before we move on to closing the meeting out here? No. Okay. So with that, I guess since we don't have any ARRL updates, I guess we could close the meeting for the evening. And anybody want to make a motion to close this meeting here?
Yeah, I make a motion that we close.
All in favor here? Second. All in favor
Aye.
here to close?
Aye.
Okay. So we're closing. All right, Mike.
Alan.
You got the helm, my friend.
You disabled me.
Did I?
Disabled host participation, share screen sharing.
All right, how do we do this? Hold on, I don't even know how to do that. I think because I think Tom's got control. I don't have control over it. Tom, can you let go? I think there's a way of relinquishing control. Because I can't do this either. Wait a minute, I can share screen. Hold on. Host is, yep. I gave you the host, Tom, unfortunately, and now you're muted. Can't hear you. There you are.
Okay, on share screen, I got 3 options.
What are they?
One participant can share at a time. That's checked.
Yeah.
Multiple participants can share simultaneously, or advanced sharing options.
Let's go with the middle one.
Multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mike, it's all yours. You should be able to do it now.
Okay.
Awesome.
What do you see?
We see the presentation.
What a deal.
What a deal.
And we see
Amazing.
that you're a font musician because you have 2 different fonts.
Yeah, I noticed how you spell your name. I didn't know you have 2 E's in your name.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in the call book, you know. All right. So the plan was, so I kind of wrote this real generically. I said, so with so many safety concerns and illegal complications, how could FSARC participate in field day this year and still be safe? So if you remember, we talked about this. We said, well, we could just not participate at all and cancel field day. We could operate anyway and take our chances. I would have done that. That would have been cool. We could everybody operate on their own, operate independently, or somebody came up. I don't know who came up with it. Maybe it was I don't know who did.
I think the
But
guy's
anyway,
name was Chet.
Was it Chet?
I think it was a guy named Chet.
Yeah,
The guy's name was Chet. Okay.
Yeah, it was all Chet. All Chet.
It was all his fault? Okay. So yeah. So operate remotely using Flex Radio. So okay. So we thought about that. So we had to find a location and a permanent installation and what class were we going to run. So we looked at the E class. The E class was transmit, receive on emergency power, and it may contact any station. And operator computers must use emergency power. So it sounded like a real pain in the ass. So we decided to do Class D, which was commercial power. Unfortunately, the league changed their rules about a couple of weeks before, and they allowed the Class D stations to talk to other Class D stations or any other field day station for credit. So that really worked out well because other than that, I don't know if there would have been that many points we would have got. So that worked out good for us. So here's our preparation. So we needed a place for the 6400. we also wanted to operate the digital modes too. So Bill and this Chet guy, they stepped up to the plate and let us use the current location at Bill's house, K30NO. And he had a vertical already there and a dipole. So the dipole with 16400 on it. And Brandon, W3VD, let the club use his 6400. So we were able to have two stations, one on a vertical, one on a dipole, and we got the logging computer from Jerry that they used last year. So that was part of the preparation. So then we did the implementation of it. We got it. We put it all together, and we went up there. Unfortunately, we had to make a couple of trips, but we got the majority of it, the heavy stuff, done on the first day. So we set up Brendan's 6400 at Bill's location, which he already had one set up to do 80 through 10. We used Jerry's laptop, like I say, for the logging computer, and we used Alan's spare laptop that he had for the digital station. So we actually reversed the two. We were going to use Jerry's, and we had Jerry's on there, but the performance of Jerry's computer wasn't that great. So Alan left his computer there, and we used Jerry's just for the logging only and some of the connections. The other thing we did, Alan and I, we went back up. The vertical that Bill had didn't resonate all that great on the bands that we needed. It didn't work that great on 80, and was marginal on 40, and maybe marginal on 20. So what we did was we took a backup antenna that I have here, which is a 5-band, actually it's a 6-band butternut vertical, and we took that, and Alan and I went back up there and installed that antenna, and it resonated really well on the band. So we tuned that one up. Last minute change that we made in this implementation was the database that housed the logging database. Mike set that up remotely into I think it was a cloud, wasn't it, Alan?
Yeah, it was a cloud.
A cloud, so that we would have that data readily available.
Which was kind of nice. That was a nice feature.
Yeah, that was. Here's what it looked like totally when you get it all together, and I put everybody's little name on there so that you could see who did what. So we have Bill, K30NO. He's got the horizontal dipole. Chet's 6400. Here's the remote users that we had here, right there. Connection through the internet. Station on the right was only used for digital, and the logging computer logged both contacts from Station 1 and Station 2 on the same computer. So, I'm not sure what Chat, this one right here that says W3 or WA3I, that computer, was that the computer that ran your 6400 or what? What was that computer? What was the purpose?
6400 does not require a computer. It just, I have a computer at home that I use just like the other remote users. I think that's superfluous, that part of the
Yeah,
demo.
it was. I put that on there. That was really that computer that was set up next to your rig on the bench, Chet. I think that's something that Bill had set up.
Oh, that's Bill's computer.
Yeah, it's Bill's computer.
Yeah, actually was not part of the setup.
Roger.
Okay. Yeah, because I was confused what that router was doing in there and all that. So.
Well, we had a router in there. We did. It was a switch, really.
Yeah. So that's the way it was hooked up, and I think that logging, there was a separate database in the cloud, like I say, and there are little clouds there too. That's kind of cool. All right, so part of this presentation, we're going to talk about lessons learned, configuration and setup. So, you know, when you work on projects and things, people always talk about they do lessons learned. They say what worked, what didn't work, so that they don't make the same mistake the second time. So what we had was what worked. The site for most we needed K3 O&O was very helpful and accommodating. I think the only time, actually, I think every time we called him, he was okay.
Yeah.
With us coming up and stopping up and getting it. I
Very
think we made
appreciative.
2 extra trips. I think one to set up the TV, and the other one to set up the other vertical.
Yeah, what we did was the first setup was we had the whole team there, Paul, myself, Bill was there, and what's his name? Brandon was there. We were all there. We kind of pulled everything together, got everything kind of set up. It wasn't quite right because there were some configurations with the computers to get them, running right, and we had an issue with the antenna. But it took us 2 trips. We got up there the second time, right? Was it 3 times we got up there? I think it was 3 times. It was 3 times we were up there, Mike.
Yeah.
The second time we got up there, we got all the hardware working. We got everything running. The only problem was we couldn't get the antenna to really perform. It wasn't really resonating. And that's when I proposed. I said, look, do we have another option here? Because, we're setting all this up and we're really not propagating very well. Even though it's a vertical, we understand that, but it was really not. Bill's antenna, he had a loaded coil on 80 meters, and we couldn't even get it to resonate, even in the bands. And that was just, to me, it was ridiculous if we were going to put an antenna tuner on this thing, and all we were going to do is be a big attenuator is all we were going to be, on this. So at least we had an antenna that resonated on the bands, and we were able to at least get out. So that was the third trip, was getting the antenna set up. Over.
Yeah. And it says here the phone and CW stations performed properly and well. And I would have bet money that they would not have performed well, because that's what Chet uses all the time. So that's a proven system that works. So we pretty much knew that was going to work. So what really didn't go well with the setup and the configuration, virtual 2D concept of the station, I guess, was rejected by the ARRL. So I guess we spent a lot of time kind of figuring out how we could do a 2D station with multiple sites.
we had a 2D station, but the idea was to do a virtual one where we had 2 different sites, and we sort of called them one site. And we had this whole architecture around that, but then at the last minute, somebody asked the league, and they said, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah, it had to be a certain distance. Each antenna had to be a certain distance from one another, or the stations had to be within distance, right?
Which wasn't in the original rules, right? The original that only applied to A and B, but then they said, no, it applies to everything.
Yeah.
So it was annoying.
Yeah, I guess. Confusion on task roles and responsibilities, pretty much with the laptops. Wrong laptops were used. High-performance laptops were available by Foster, but were never transported to the site. And laptops were deployed, were underpowered. Software could have been configured before the installation.
So
Digital station.
I want to jump in here. I asked a couple times where I was supposed to go on the software that I needed, and I never got answers back. So I'd like to spin off some group now so I can load these laptops up and get them ready to go for next year. Because I don't want to wait till the last minute. I felt really bad because I sent notices out and said, here to help, but you got to tell me.
Hey, listen, Forrest, nothing like being 11 months ahead of time.
Yes. So, tell me now, because I'm like Rich. I have a boatload of time in my hands right now. I can load software up.
I think you can actually, if you pull up that diagram, you'll see all the software that was loaded up on the laptops.
All right, I'll look for that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So there was some confusion on it because they said, who's got the laptops? I thought Bill or Jerry had 2 laptops.
Yeah.
He only had 1 laptop. Yeah. So I had another laptop that I was going to use. We ended up using Alan's anyway. But he said you got to put the software on it. And then somebody came back and said, oh, well, Foster did that last year, and he can do that. And I'm like, well, shit, I already got the laptops. I got everything all in there. So
Yeah, and I did it last year, but I just needed the list of the extra software that you guys wanted, because these are the robotics laptops I use are pretty grunny. They have lots of power. They've got big discs. They got touch screens and all the other crap on them, so they're like good to go. But I was like, and I'm going Bueller, help me here.
Bueller.
Yeah. So the original plan, the original plan was that Foster was going to put the laptops up on his at his house, make them available remotely, and then Jerry was going to log in remotely and set up all the software on Foster's laptops. And somehow that part of the plan just got lost.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it
yeah,
happens.
I'm not going to derail this anymore. But Alan's right. We have 11 months for me to fix this. So
Yes.
I'll get a hold of Jerry and we'll try again.
Again, these are lessons learned, so we just
Yeah.
learn from our mistakes. That's all.
Yeah. So and
Right.
please, I'm happy to participate in that as well, because I think I have a pretty good idea of what all the stuff needs to be.
Roger.
Yeah. I think all in all, I mean, you look at the next item, you say, okay, we had to monkey around with the laptops for a little bit and get that going. But then the vertical threw us for a loop because that really wasn't working all that well. And then to top it all off, since we didn't have everything together, we really couldn't coordinate with Chet to have anybody talk with him or show him how to use the equipment. So that really got put on, that kind of got jammed in at the last minute. So the digital station was not operational during the.
You're talking about
training.
the phone and CW station, Chet station. That there was
Chet station and
yeah, there wasn't the term we used chain teaching on how to use it.
Yeah.
Roger.
So they said what to consider for next year. Get the ARRL approval to avoid wasted effort. Write clear assignments for setup participants. I think we threw this together in less than a month and a half. This whole project. So it was a pretty quick thing. So I think next year, if we use the same model for this, I think we'll do a lot better, at least for this. So we can get all this stuff, these things that didn't go well, we could highlight those and make sure that we got those covered before we start taking equipment up there or wherever it's going to be.
Roger.
So let's look at the lessons learned from the operations. So both stations worked okay. I mean, they worked good. The share logging worked good. The open Zoom sessions provided much needed camaraderie. I mean, I logged into that session and watched you guys do some stuff, and he thought it was. I thought it was pretty cool.
I thought that was something that I was hoping, Mike. Everybody on the line. The one thing that was interesting was that even though you may not want to quote operate any of the equipment, you literally could have just logged into the Zoom session, and we could have given you access to the team viewer, and you literally could have watched everything from your computer. And in a lot of ways, it's a great way of training, when you actually use this, because you can actually participate virtually in the room with everybody, even though you're not pushing any buttons or anything. So like you said, Mike, you showed up. I was operating. I think Mike was operating, Mike Federico, and we were playing around. And you jumped in, and we were having a conversation. I know Paul walked in on a conversation, so we were kind of having like a little a social gathering virtually while we were doing this. So it was kind of like being in the tent, Yeah,
and what was really kind of cool about it was I turned the radio on over here, and I could hear the station. So I thought it was
actually pretty cool. The fact that you can actually on your own rig, see how we were actually taking benchmark measurements across the area to see how everybody was performing.
Yeah, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I think that should be better explained on how to connect like that so that people can connect like that. I really wasn't under the understanding that we could even do that without being on the radio.
Agree, Tom. Tom, again, this is a huge lesson learned. This is a whole shift in the way we do things, this event, right? And there was a huge learning experience for a lot of us here doing this. just the fact of bringing up TeamViewer and how to use TeamViewer, something simple as that, which once you got up and running and understood how to use it, was very easy to use once you understood it. Next year, I'm expecting, if we're in the same situation, that we have a larger participation involved in this, and we're better. We're actually better this time. Look, we're going to go into it next year with a much better perspective of how we can improve upon what we already started. And I think the one thing, if I had to jump the gun on this, getting more people involved and operating would have been really nice. So, but I'm telling you, you could have, you can operate remotely, Tom. It's not that hard. Okay, Mike, I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. What didn't work well with the operations? Remote participation was disappointing. I think if we look back at that slide that I had here, we had Alan, Jerry, Mike, Chet, Paul, and
Rich.
Rich. So we had 6 people that operated this station. So I think last year we had maybe 10 operators. So it was about half of what it typically was. Perhaps some of the potential operators were turned off by the technology. I don't know myself. I had other stuff going on. I had a lot of work stuff committed to, so I couldn't operate a lot. I actually didn't operate at all. No one volunteered to log for phone or CW operators. So we just didn't have any loggers. But that would, to be a logger, then you would have to use TeamViewer or the Zoom session.
No, actually, you don't. You can. You could have used this thing called DAX to connect directly to the audio from the radio. You can have multiple people listening. You can only have one person sending.
Transmit, yeah. We didn't utilize that though, did we this time?
No.
The DAX. We didn't use that, did we?
That was
Well,
likewise.
Yeah, you did, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to operate the radio at all for the voice.
Yeah, but it was only connected to the laptop that was there.
Ah. Okay.
No, it wasn't. No.
Oh?
No, the DAX goes directly from the radio to your home computer.
But we only had one person on at a time.
Right. And you can have 2 people listening to the same slice, but you can only have one person sending audio to the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So my hope was that, if people wanted to operate with a second person as the logger, that we would do that, but that just didn't happen. And I don't know, maybe Rich, if you want to comment on whether that would have been helpful to you or not. Okay.
All right. Reliable PCs for remote access. I guess PC crashed several times, probably because of inadequate resources. Maybe not. We don't know. PCs became inaccessible after reboots because the wrong version of TeamViewer was on it. I mean, that's the directions we got. Install TeamViewer. Okay, we install it. Now, crap, we got the wrong version on there.
No, the instruction was to install TeamViewer. What's it called? TeamViewer host. That's it. I was just, that's my fault. I didn't make that clear enough, because it's not obvious that those are 2 different things, but they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the digital station was unavailable because of that, I think.
Well, yeah. Let me elaborate on this one, Mike.
All
So
right.
the way it was set up was the control software for the Flex was on in this case, the digital laptop. It was my laptop.
So that also had the SDR software on that as well. And we had the WSJTX on that. And so you had those three pieces of software plus the team viewer in the Zoom session, right? And this actually just the team viewer. So you had those 3-4 software packages running simultaneously on that laptop. And what would happen is sometimes when you would shift the band, you would actually have to go into the Flex software on the laptop to tweak the parameters, the performance parameters of the SDR. In some cases, I had to do that a few times with the antenna gain, and the as such. So think about that. You're doing your ADD conversion. You're doing all of this on that one laptop on top of trying to do your WSJTX logging. So there was a lot of they say a lot of tasking going on one box alone. So it actually at times it would lock up and crash. It wasn't that bad. It happened a few times, but it wasn't one of those things where it actually prevented us from actually doing doing contacting. It actually really, I don't think it was a showstopper in any way. It was just it was an inconvenience sometimes.
And actually, if the logs were linked, there was no reason why the operator at home couldn't run the Flex software and the FT8 software on their home computer, and because that's normally how you do it. And
that's exactly right, Rich. I agree, and that is what I thought that's what we were doing initially when we started this endeavor. That I was going to run a client session purely on my workstation, and then logging into something that was up into the cloud, and that's something that we should be considering next year. But we took a more easy approach, which was a virtual session, running a virtual session over the internet as opposed to running a client session over the internet. Over.
Yeah. So partly was to make things easier for people, less complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But also there's a technical issue. You could certainly have run the logging at home, and I think that's what we should do going forward, because that worked really well and it's easy. But there is a technical issue if you try to run the WSJTX too far away from the radio.
Right.
The delay gets to be a problem.
Right.
And if you have more than about 0.2 of a second delay, then it starts to make the decoding not work as well.
That's right. You're going to lose the window of decoding.
So that was why we did it that way.
My typical latency is 50 milliseconds. So I can run it from home on my radio without any problem. But I do get delta T's that are like 0.8 and 0.9, which is probably a lot more than most of you experience.
Yeah, and that used to not be a problem. With the previous versions of WSJTX, anything under a second was fine. But with the newest version that does the 3 separate decoding periods, supposedly if it's more than 0.2 of a second, your decoding efficiency drops. So you don't decode as many signals.
Which is a good point. I mean, this is a great opportunity when you look at that software package that Joe Taylor has written, right? It would be nice to be able to have a client server capability of that software where you run the server closer to the radio, right? And your client basically is just the control features, and it's still going to decode. It's just the only delay is when you see it, when you know who the contact is.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's take a look at the other things then. The digital station screen was too small.
Yeah.
Severe. Yeah.
That was.
Okay, so let's think about that, because that's down there at the bottom again. So severe bug in the latest WSJTX release caused many blown QSOs.
Yeah. I actually had WSJTX crash while I was doing a field day contact with New Zealand. And I had to restart all the software. And all I can tell you is the guy was a really nice guy because he was still there trying to, repeating his response when I actually got the software up and running again.
Right, and how we alleviated some of that problem there was we went from, instead of using fast or normal mode, we went to fast mode. We didn't go into deep or normal mode. We went to fast mode. So that helped.
And then this other issue, which was the CW phone logs were temporarily lost but restored from backup. Was that something to do with JS?
No,
WJST?
I have no idea how that happened. It's just we looked and all the QSOs were all gone from the log. But then, but it writes a backup every hour or something. So Mike was able to go back and restore from the previous backup, and they all came back.
Well,
Okay.
I guess it was Sunday morning. I was on, and TeamViewer wouldn't work, and so I restarted everything, and it still didn't. Well, actually, when I restarted it, a thing popped up in the middle of the screen that said, TeamViewer server is going to be down for maintenance until this time.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, so I called Mike on the phone. I'm like, Mike, the TeamViewer's, updating their server, and so he just gave me the direct address to the server that he has at his house, where the software was, and I just went into N3FJP and typed the address in. So then when I logged, instead of going through TeamViewer, it just went right to Mike's house and into the onto his server.
Directly or into it, right?
And actually, I like that better. And actually, I never went back to using TeamViewer. I just used that every time I was on. It was faster. It just worked better. And you weren't looking at it in TeamViewer. You were just seeing the logging software.
I agree.
Roger
Yeah,
that.
that would work out better. How about what should we consider for next year? Get remote stations?
Mike,
Yeah.
before you get off of what didn't work, I included this in the email that I sent to Alan, but the Flex Radio has an issue when it receives too strong of a signal, and it disconnects the transmitter and the receiver from the antenna.
That's happened to us on the digital side too.
And the issue really was that those two antennas were too close to each other.
Site. Yeah.
And we didn't have of course we didn't have the same radios, but we didn't have this problem last year because the vertical antenna was way far away from the dipole. And in Bill's configuration, the vertical is right underneath the dipole, and it's just way too close.
Yeah, we literally had.
Actually, I got a couple. I got a text message or something saying that there was interference with the digital and the phone CW station. But actually, there was somebody on CW that lives close to Bill. And when I was on the low end of 40 meters on CW, I could, they were sending CW, but they were somewhere on the band. And I got part of the call side just out of the whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And and then the radio crashed. So I'm not saying that it wasn't the vertical under the dipole, but somebody who lives close to Bill must have been running a lot of power because he was just overloading the Chet's Flex Radio. And then I had to call Chet on the phone in Virginia and get him to power cycle the radio and get it back on the air. So
Yeah. Hopefully next year what they'll do is they'll limit the power on field day. Because I think there was a lot of stations that were really loud there when I tuned across the band. A lot of stations.
Well, all the contest stations were on. I mean, when I was working on working in my home station in CW, I probably worked a dozen call signs that I know are contest stations, and so there were a lot of people on with better equipment because these stations could work these stations than there had been in the past. And actually, it made it a little rough on phone. It was insane because there were so many people and so many people running higher power and better antennas, I guess. I called CQ and never got a reply to the CQ. So then I had to like this hunt and peck up and down the band, which is a whole lot of work, and it's hard to make contact like that.
Yeah, just a good lesson learned that we took out of the operations, not from the configuration, but just using WS JTX. And I was showing this to Jerry. I think Paul was jumping on this, and I know Mike was when we were doing the Zoom session. Was what I like to do when you're in a contesting mode and you have a lot of, you got a lot of, the band is the station saturated. What I like to do is I like to go either on the very low end down to 300 hertz. I go all the way up to like 2,800 hertz on the top end of this, and I try to broadcast my signal there. And I really do a really good job of making contacts there during contesting, because usually folks are in the middle of the audio band there trying to make the contact. And when you're on the outside, one thing I noticed is that if you're running say 300 hertz at the very low end, you hear that tone, and some people actually they kind of pick up on that tone and they look for your signal at 300 hertz. I've made a lot of contacts that way in a very crowded situation.
Say, did anybody have contact with N8EME? He was Air Mobile over southern Pennsylvania. That was the only exotic. That was the only phone contact I made. He was calling out on .52.
That call doesn't look familiar in the log, so I don't think we worked him.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, he started calling as soon as the clock struck. I guess it was 1 o'clock when it started, and he was calling for about an hour and a half.
He's just like doing circles with his airplane.
Yep, and an HT.
And an HT and an airplane, just doing circles, making contacts.
He got a lot of people. I heard a lot of them getting them.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. What's the point value there, Rich?
2 point, well, if he was low power, 2 points.
2 points. Well, I mean,
No, if he was 5 watts or less, it's 5 points.
I was running 65 watts.
Yeah, but he's running 5 watts though. That's a difference. There's a difference.
Yeah, so it could have been QRP, so that would have gave him 5 points.
With a big antenna aperture.
We had the height advantage, that's for sure.
Pretty good. Smart.
So what do we have here? We have what we should consider for next year: get remote stations operational in time to do demos at the preceding meeting. You could also encourage attendees to attend.
Can I suggest that we try for the winter field day in January, and do another test run of all this stuff?
Why not? I mean, we're sitting at home.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, Foster. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Why not?
I think it's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
We take it and we put it into a different location, maybe, even if we just have one station going up there. But we leave it up for a few days, maybe over the weekend, maybe leave it there for a week and let people get used to it so that they can operate it and use it, and it won't be so hard for everybody to connect.
Yeah, I definitely say more training would have been beneficial. But then again, as we said early on, this was kind of like, I hate to say it, we got into April, we talked about it. May, we were okay, we're going to do this, and then between the our May meeting and actually our May meeting in June, we literally had to come up with something. So we have a baseline to work from now. That's the good news. We have a baseline.
Zoom sessions.
They worked.
Yeah, it says here virtual lunch during field day to build participation.
Yeah, what I was thinking was that if, we had the Zoom session going for 24 hours, and that was great. People could drop in. But if we actually scheduled it, some sub portions of that, like we scheduled this meeting, and we just say, everybody show up at, 4 o'clock or something on Saturday, and, we could at least get more people interested, and we could say, hey, you could operate too if you wanted.
Or right, Paul, or even like a week out before an event. You do that, and we give some training online and get people to practice with everybody there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very doable. I'll tell you a little funny story. Is think about it. I ran the Zoom session 24 hours, and I turned on my computer and ran the session, and I shut my door. And it's really funny how I'm sitting and I'm going, where the hell are those voices coming from? And you guys are all on talking, and I'm like, holy smokes, man! 24 hours. I got people, in my home in a way. But I have to say that Zoom really did work. It was really sweet to use that.
Yeah. Ditch the logging laptop and use the sharing. We talked about that already.
Right input. Yep.
Yeah. This is what I don't understand. It said that what didn't work was the digital station screen was too small. Add an external monitor for the digital station PC to create more screen real estate.
Right. That's right.
What? We're not sitting in front of the screen, are we?
No. What happens is you're running a video session, say 720 by 1280, which is the laptop, right? That is the virtual display that shows up on TeamViewer remotely. If you were running, say, a pure 1080 or a 4K screen or monitor session, you can actually you have more real estate to put all those different applications on.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think the problem was TeamViewer, because the N3FJP log that we logged into through TeamViewer was, and I'm running it's a 28-inch monitor HDMI, and but it was so small in the middle of the screen, I had to lean up to see what I was typing, and that's why I was more than happy to just log into the server and do it that way. That way I could have the Flex software on one side of the screen, the logging software on the other side of the screen, and just do it that I could see it then. That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, basically it just replicates whatever the screen on the laptop is. So if you got a tiny screen on the laptop, then it turns into a tiny window at your end.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
If you're running 4K and you're running a 720p session or whatever, it's gonna be tiny.
Well, we know what we could do with Alan's TV next year.
But I honestly, one of the things that I don't see on here, Mike, for next year is, I don't know if you have more. Do you have more than just this, Mike?
Yeah, I got another slide yet.
Okay. I'll hold off then.
Yeah. So test digital contest modes before the event.
Yeah, we know what that.
We know. We all know that.
Yep.
So I think while we're on this page, then I think we should commit then to do either the winter field day or some other exercise where we maybe like in October or November put it together again and find a location that we're going to put it at. And I think Paul and Foster ought to work on that.
Yeah, you got it, Paul and Foster.
I'm up for that. I can meet with Paul and we can fling laptops at each other and get this stuff to go.
Yeah,
I felt bad about that, but I've got happy to load all four of them with the stuff we need, because that also gives us backups that we can swap into.
Yeah.
Yeah, just image it. So if you need to take the laptop somewhere else,
there you go. Image it. Yep.
Yeah. Can't image it because I use them for robotic stuff too. So
yeah, but
you have to coexist.
Well, anyway, yeah, okay, so that would work. So you guys are in charge of that. So we should bring that up as new business at the next meeting then.
Oh gosh.
In August. Okay, lessons learned on post field day. What worked well? Tear down and clean up was fast, and no one became ill. I'll tell you what, it was pretty quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think Brandon went there pretty quick right after.
Came in right after we did what we had to do. So we were literally the only reason why we went up there, got it done in like an hour. Breakdown was under an hour. We had to go back up, I think, for the antenna, if I remember.
Yeah.
Right. And help Bill out, get Bill's antenna. We actually, Mike and I actually installed Bill's antenna. We installed the coil on it. We got it to resonate. So he's got a working antenna again, Bill.
Yeah. And where's Chet? Did Chet drop?
Yeah, it must have dropped off.
Okay.
One of the problems with
there you are.
One of the problems with the loading coil on that antenna is that when we looked at it more closely, the box it was in was full of water.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So drying it out helped.
Yeah, when we reinstalled it, it actually worked on
Well,
80
and
meters.
then so that was the first problem, and then the second problem was the ground lead had become detached.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was not a happy device.
But I installed new U brackets for him, for Bill, and then we installed we tightened everything down, buttoned it all up for him this time. So it actually is the antenna. It still has a problem with resonating, but it works. It's functional.
No one became ill, as far as we know.
Yeah.
And what didn't work was, I guess there's some missing Ethernet hardware. Not sure what happened to Ethernet hardware deployed to the site.
Yeah, that's I provided the Ethernet switch and the cables and everything, and I'm sure they're probably just still there.
Well, and you've seen Bill's bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably just disappeared into the noise there.
Remember, you got pictures. Show them the pictures, Mike.
Yeah. So the last two items that were on there, I think we've discussed that. What should we consider for next year, and does the club have any recommendations? So I think our recommendation going forward is we'll do the winter one or some other exercise of that, so we can exercise this so that when May and June comes up, we can bingo, we're there.
Yeah. We also need to consider nothing was wrong with Bill, but are there other alternative locations that we could consider next year as well?
Yeah. Alternate location.
Somebody who actually has a pretty decent sized property. Right.
Well, there you go. There's our buddies. There's Paul. There's Alan, and there's Brandon.
What the heck am I doing, by the way?
I think you're laughing.
That's something.
Yeah, and then there's Bill. There was the other one that said, "Oh
Bill
yeah,
with the beard."
Bill with the beard.
Yeah, that was Bill has some house cleaning to do.
Yeah, there we go. So you're talking about this little area right in here with
Yeah.
the little switch. Yeah.
Yep.
Not sure where that one is. I don't know. Was it there when we? I can't remember.
It was
now.
there. It was there.
It was there.
It was there. Yep.
Okay. We didn't take it with us then, did we?
I don't know, but I got to tell you something. There might be some living things in that basement somewhere. People or something. Because there's some. I go in there, there's a lot of stuff in that place, man.
Yeah.
He needs to have a fire sale or something.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Wow.
So that was the setup there. There's another picture of
There's
our
me.
illustrious president.
Yeah, that's me up there. And we had to stand on a step stool to run the laptop. Can you?
Yeah. But actually, when we
That
went
explains
back
that,
up,
because I didn't think you were that much taller than Brandon. So
I
okay.
know. Brandon's bigger than me too, so yeah.
yeah, didn't we move the laptop and all that when
We
the
went
second
the
trip?
time, I cleaned out some space and got it off the top of that cabinet there, and made it a little more functional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
correct.
I don't want to ask stupid questions, but is that a pistol on his belt?
Yes.
Yeah.
What kind of critters are in that basement down there,
There you
guys?
go.
Really? Oh my God.
It was a Glock, so
That was Brandon was my backup. He's my
exterminator.
But it was really good. Listen, Chet and Brandon, he's not on the line. The fact that you guys had those radios really made a difference.
Yeah.
That really really made the difference.
That was huge.
Here's the butternut antenna that we ended up mounting in Bill's spot. I couldn't find the other picture of the other antenna, so
It was just
I don't have it on there. Yeah, it looks just like this one except without coils.
Yeah. True.
So I was thinking about what I was going to do was I was going to put this together in the next month or two. Probably not with the pictures. I'll send the pictures in, but I was going to write a short article and send it to QS to send it to the league.
That'd be awesome.
And then that way we have something there, and I'll talk to Steve Ford and see if I can say, hey, look, you know what? This was kind of unique. I don't know if anybody did anything like this. So maybe a bunch of people did. I don't know. But at least if we get ours in fairly quickly, I think they published that in January.
November.
When is it?
They published the scores in November.
November.
Oh, in November. So I need to get that in pretty quick then.
I'd say tomorrow, day after that, probably.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put that on the list of things to do. My list.
So, Mike, what do you think the score was going to come out to be about? You know?
Oh, I have that. I have that. Okay, so this is the end here.
Oh, okay.
So let me go here to.
Let's get an idea what we were, how well we did.
Yeah, here's the scoring. I already sent it into the league. So we had 9 people actually participate in this. So that would be the operator 6 plus 3 more, which was Bill, myself, and Brandon.
Right.
Yeah. So we did that work. There was 2 transmitters, home station. Here was basically down here was our scores. So we ended up with 800 and I believe it's up here 800 and
714.
714 was the claim score, but then we got extra points for the bonus. We get 150 extra bonus points that they tack on at the end. But here's where we were. So we ended up doing pretty well. Again, 40 meters looked like it was kicking butt again. It looks like it was the one that had the most connections. 40, 80 wasn't too bad. I was a little disappointed in 20. There wasn't that much activity on 20 CW or phone, but the conditions were not really all that great.
I did. I think I did the 15-meter contacts on digital.
3 on digital, yeah.
I guess one thing we need to work on for next year is getting all the bonus points we possibly can. There are some there that we could have gotten if we just planned a little further ahead and figured out how to do them. I know, like, we could have sent an NTS message, medium publicity. What else? Well.
Yeah, some of them were not available this year, like the having guests at your site and stuff like that. They said basically you can't.
Information booth. Come on, really? Information booth?
How about safety officer? I should have put in 150 points for that because Brandon, he brought his pistol, so he was the safety officer.
Yikes.
Making it unsafe.
That's a stretch, Mike. I got to tell you.
Hey, wait a minute. There was critters in that basement.
That was a stretch goal, they call it. So consider, what was our score last year? Just curious.
Last year was like 6,000 or 7,000.
Wow.
Oh no, it was like 3 or like 2,800 or something like that, probably.
I have another question. Will the scores get combined? Will it go higher when they combine the scores from participants that use First Aid Amateur Radio Club?
Well, that's a separate score, right?
Oh, okay.
There's a club score that's separate from this.
Yeah, I just looked online. We have 10 scores or 10 logs actually submitted right now.
Oh, that's great.
I had about 1,200 or so points.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
Yeah, that was also 14 hours of FT8.
Wow.
You better be listening to music because you don't want to be listening to those tones, boy. No.
How do they say? CW is, never mind.
Here we go. Here we go.
So you have to ice down your pointer finger after field day?
No.
I gotta get. Where's Jerry? I need Jerry here, man. We need my digital guy.
Actually, I worked. Actually, that was 13 Colonies. I worked CAD on CW, but I got this new radio, and I'm using 2 keyboards, one to send CW and one to log. And I was working him for the 13 Colonies. And I typed on the wrong keyboard, so I sent a big string of nothing CW to him. And I thought, I'm gonna have to come back later and work him again. But he was a good enough operator that he actually figured it out and worked me, and we got it done.
Yeah. Close the contact. Very good.
Wow.
Well, Mike, thanks for the presentation.
All right, so
Applaud.
that's it.
Thank you, Mike.
That's it for the information that I got. So
All right.
happy field day,
Happy
Nice,
field.
nice job, Mike. Thanks.
Yeah.
That was
All
really
right.
good.
You're the winner guy now.
Hey, no problem.
Hey, listen, I'll help out too. Let me know. I love to get involved with them. That getting set up, helping the setup. So
Are they gonna do that? I have some vague memory that they weren't gonna do Winter Field Day this year or something.
It's on their site for January. If you do the winter WFD or whatever it was, I just had it up here. Let me do it again. If you go to winterfieldday.com, it's saying January 30, 31, 2021.
Okay.
So
hey, Mike, stop sharing. I was gonna say stop. Yeah, that's good. Now we can put the back the.
Oh, I was just going to pull it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do
Winter
that.
Field Day was more interesting when the temperature outside where you were operating was a multiplier. but the problem is the people down south, they got upset about it because actually I think the lower it was or something. But I know the first Winter Field Day we operated at the Delmarva building over on Chapman Road, and it was supposed to snow a little bit. Well, I went over there, operated. I don't know, got set up, operated for like 4 or 5 hours. There was 5 or 6 other people there, and by the time I left, there was 8 inches of snow on the ground. So that was a Winter Field Day.
That's a Winter Field Day. Yes. So
Oh, wow. So it's the 30th and the 31st of January.
Yep.
So Foster and Paul, I think the first thing we should do is we need to scout a site to see if there's alternative sites to work with.
And why are we doing that? Because we have a guy that has an awesome site network connection.
Listen, Foster, you didn't go to that basement, Foster.
We're getting hazard pay for going down there.
Where is Bill when you need him?
What so the
point
deal is
he's
you don't have
making
to
is that it's
outrun.
already there.
Yeah, you don't have to outrun one person. I can go with you because I'm sure you can outrun me if that'll make you feel better.
No, but to be fair, no, seriously, kidding aside, it does take up some of his time that we show up there and we're doing our thing. But it is also worth looking at alternatives, not because we don't want to operate there, but just to see if we have something else that is available to us, right?
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
I think Mike's going to buy a Flex if he can talk his wife into it. So basically, we could run the station at his house and have this logging server there as well.
Where's that, Mike Federico?
Yeah.
He's talking his wife into getting a Flex? Wow, man, that's a big move.
Yeah, he could. He called me like 2 days. Well, actually, he texted me or something. He said, "Hey, there's a Flex so-and-so on QRZ. They want this much for it. Is that a good price?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty much the going price. I would just check and see if there's any warranty left, and you can transfer the warranty." Because the thing is, if you're going to spend, $1,800 or $1,700 for a radio that's 2 years old, and you can spend the extra $200 and get the warranty, you're better off just to buy a new radio.
And by the way, I've been to Mike's house. I went over and helped him out on a few things, and you were over there too, Rich, right? He's got a good setup there. He's got some good height on those trees, so he'd get a good dipole running up there for sure. He definitely has the ability to put a good. He has a dipole up there, so he's in good shape, and he's got that vertical that you helped him put up. So he does have a setup over there, Mike. So
I got pretty much the same thing. I got the antenna in the trees, and then
you do too, Mike. That's right.
I got the vertical.
You have no homeowners association restrictions?
What's that? They don't enforce them.
That's only for you rich people. Us poor people don't have that stuff.
Yeah, well, Rich, we would caravanning over to your place, but you're over the border, unfortunately.
Well, actually, I own to the Delaware line, so if you set up on the Delaware line, you could activate Delaware and Maryland at the same time.
There you go. And you can come to my house and set up, but I have zero propagation because I'm down below everything.
All right. I guess we'll call it an evening.
Good job, Mike. Thanks for the presentation.
Presentation, Mike. Good job. I guess we'll be seeing you guys in August. Mike, are we talking about any presentations for August yet?
No, I was going to send an email out because we don't have one. It's either that or I could talk about the Nano VNA.
Hey, if you guys would like, I I just built a very nice 6-meter antenna, and I used 4 NEC2 to build it. I put some slides together on how I built it.
All right, you're the man. Do it.
All right.
I would love to put a suggestion out there to you experienced folk who've been doing this for a while. I know there's a few of us here who are kind of new at this over the years. One area that I know I talked to Mike Federico on, and I'm very interested in is getting a little more background on doing RTTY contacting.
RTTY, did you say?
Yeah, RTTY. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
I thought
done
you were
that
going
a
to
lot.
say you wanted to learn how to operate CW.
Well, we have to have classes for that.
RTTY's not too, it's fairly easy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I think some of us here, like you said, yeah, it's probably, I'm not saying it's hard, Mike. It would be a good kind of go do some refreshers. We'll call them refresher classes.
Got like a Model 15 surplus in your basement that you've got from the Army or something, or you're going to use some software on the computer.
Well, you know.
I did. I had a Cantronics long time ago, and then when I moved here to Delaware, I ended up using just plugging it directly into the computer from the audio line and decode it using that free software. That was kind of cool. But yeah, why don't you? Yeah, I think you should do a presentation on it, Alan.
I'm asking you guys because I'm all ears about it. I want to make sure I'm not an expert in that area, my friend. But I'm interested in it.
Will that WJST software run RTTY?
No.
No, but the multi PSK will.
It doesn't the what do you call it, Ham Radio Deluxe too?
Yeah, the DM780 and Ham Radio Deluxe does RTTY. And I've made some contacts that way, but I've never loaded the macros. So it's really awkward if you're trying to type it and then send it, but it does work.
What's it? MMTTY. It's a program that's been around forever, and it's really easy to use.
Yeah, that's
and
what
that's
I
the thing.
used.
That's the thing with like contesting. You just set up some macros and just sit there and push the button all day.
All right.
MMTY, that's what I used. It works good. Doesn't require all this TV and logging software. You just plug it in and away you go.
It really helps if you have a built-in sound card in your radio, or a good external one too.
You don't need that. Just plug it directly in.
Bye, guys. See
All
you
right.
next
Yep.
month.
Okay,
Hey,
gentlemen.
Mike, one last thing. You should write this up and send it into the ARL. They're always looking for articles like this, and the pictures and stuff. They would say, "Wow, those guys in Delaware really rock this."
Yeah, didn't I mention that before?
Well, you better make sure you get that white out because you gotta get the gut out that picture because I don't think that will sell very well in the ARL.
All right. Good night, guys.
Take the
Take
gun
care.
off of that
Take care.
picture, right?
See you guys.
Bye.
All right, we'll see everybody.
Night, everyone.
Bye.
Alan, I'm pushing the end button here. Hey, Alan, still there? Anybody? Boing.